All right, we move to Friday. Charlotte, South Florida. South Florida, 27.5-point home favorites, 54.5 the total here in this game. You look at this South Florida schedule. This is one of these games where when you look at facing Charlotte, does kind of finally lighten up for this team. You know, they've had to play a lot of tough games when you look at the early part of the season. Boise State, Florida, and Miami in a consecutive 3 games in a row stretch there against some really good competition. They beat Boise. They beat Florida, both as underdogs. They did get crushed by Miami, 49-12. Kind of thought they ran out of gas a little bit. Hit a wall, South Florida, in that game. 3rd straight week facing a high-quality, upper-tier opponent, and it looked like it against Miami. And then they bounced back and they crushed an FCS foe, South Carolina State, 63-14 last week in that game. Now you face a Charlotte team that you talk about some bad defenses. This defense hasn't been very good either. What's their best defensive performance? North Carolina, which was actually not bad, giving up only 20 points, but North Carolina's offense has left a lot to be desired so far here in the early part of the season. They have struggled to move the ball. They gave up 34 to App State in a blowout loss, their first game of the year, 35 points, even though they won against Monmouth. Still, defense gave up big plays and points, and then they lose 28-17 to Rice last Thursday night. I certainly liked Rice in that game, and I thought the price was short on Rice as a road favorite. They got it done against Charlotte. Again, when you look at Charlotte, it continues to be a lot of the same issues where we talked about with the last 2 teams we mentioned here, Sam Houston and New Mexico State. A lot of issues on the defensive side of the football. Charlotte giving up 266 through the air per game as far as passing yards. And what's really a concern here for me is, look, South Florida under Alex Golish, they want to be a balanced offense. They, yes, throw the ball, but they also want to run it, and that's important for them. Now, be careful with the rush attempts statistic. 28 rushing attempts per game, 127 for South Florida. I can tell you they want to run the football more than that. Remember, a product of that was when they were down, in the game against Miami. They pretty much had to throw the football a lot. This is a team that wants to be a balanced offense. Certainly have the potential to do that here in this game. Byron Brown at quarterback. Again, you got a Charlotte defense that's giving up 6.2 yards per play, 114th in the country as far as defensive YPP allowed is concerned, not what you want to see. And then they've got, inconsistency on offense, really, this Charlotte team. You couldn't run the football at all against Rice last week. Everything came through the air from Connor Harrell, who struggled and then ended up made a quarterback change, Tim Albin. I like Tim Albin. I did. I said I like the hire for the former Ohio head coach here for Charlotte, but it's clear it's going to take him time. He just doesn't have the horses. Doesn't have the horses in the stable. Doesn't have the players he needs to have this program playing at a high level just yet. Grayson Loftus took over in the Rice game. He was a little bit better, 186 through the air, but he still completed less than 50% passes. So what can you hang your hat on here if you're Charlotte? If you can't run, if you don't trust your defense, you're struggling to run the football. Your quarterback play is erratic from Harrell and Loftus. This could get away from you here. And it feels like South Florida could be, on the verge of maybe putting one on this Charlotte team, which is something actually that they have done in back-to-back seasons. 2 years ago, South Florida, 48-14 over Charlotte. Last year, USF, 59-24 over Charlotte. So blowout wins both times. And that's what I'm doing. I'm laying it here with South Florida. I think also South Florida team total over makes a lot of sense too. This is a Charlotte team that's given up 48 and 59 in the last 2 years when they faced the South Florida offense. So Byron Brown, no injury issues so far this year. This could end up being a big number posted on the scoreboard for USF here on Friday night. CMAC, what do you think here? Charlotte, South Florida.
Yeah, I think this is a beatdown here. After South Florida at home, they had the bye. Charlotte, this team just can't. I guess it's some of these games that they played, the quarterback play, at least they throw for some yards, but they got issues. Whoever's in a quarterback, they got a ton of injuries too to the offensive line. They got a ton of guards, tackles out, especially the guards.
It got worse in that Rice game. They were losing line in that game too.
And they can't run the football. This team is 88 yards a game, just way at the bottom. So that means that they're going to have to throw. That means mistakes. So to me, this is South Florida kind of an easy one. I'd lay it or take their team total in this game. Seems like they get to at least the 40s. Like you talked about the last couple of years, were blowouts too. 59 and 48 they put on them.